At landfall happening with this storm, Hurricane Zeta, in the area, and it looks like I went a little too far there on my slide, so let me back up real quick. But basically, about 4 o'clock, we'll have to wait for the exact time of that. We did see that move through, and it looks like landfall has occurred in the Cocodrie area of Louisiana. This, of course, New Orleans. Continue back here. There we go. So Category 2. Right here looked like it was in that little inlet. Again, that's Cocodrie as far as the actual place of landfall, and as far as the time, I would say right around 4 o'clock. We'll have to see if that's 4:05 or exactly 4 or not. So it is now making landfall and moving inland, which means the next stop as it crosses southeastern Louisiana will be towards South Mississippi, where it is expected to pass through as still a Category 2 or having weakened to a Category 1 by that time. Now that it's interacting with land, that weakening will happen. We're seeing a few things picking up on that looks like it's going to be a pretty significant weakening and hopefully kind of eat away at the back end of this storm. Looking at it here, you can already see how full that back southwestern edge looked just over the last 2 hours as that moved in. You can see how that's kind of come apart there. Drier air starting to work its way in. Don't normally show these 3D ones, but this is a really good example of that. I mean, just look at this wall right here. Just breaking up as it kind of pulls that drier air in. There's still some towers out there, no doubt, but it's pulling it all the way in. You can see that channel going deep into that storm. So finally starting to pull in some drier air, and that will help limit its chance of any further strengthening, which landfall is really doing again at the same time. So no major issue there. Looking outside, though, this is in New Orleans. Of course, I'll have our local cameras going, and we'll be taking a look at that. I understand that visibility is becoming a problem. Some of our reporters and videographers out there getting some footage of the storm, calling back saying, especially the further west you would go, you may be running into issues where you just can't see. They guessed about 2 miles of visibility. It was actually down to 1 in this area. So sort of like just a thick fog, but it's really that moisture, just all that tropical moisture here mixing with the rain that's being blown in our direction, mixing with the wind, and just causing these issues. So winds have been increasing. We're still sitting right around the 25-mile-per-hour mark there in Gulfport. You're seeing getting closer to those gusts as far as tropical storm force winds, which I do expect within about the next hour we'll start seeing more significant gusts in that range, and then even beyond that range starting to climb upwards into hurricane force. So right now you're seeing Grand Isle down there, which is right around where landfall made, gusts right now at about 102 miles per hour. As we head through the next few hours, we get beyond tropical storm force and heading now into about 7:30. So things have sped up a bit, but also weakened a bit, because not all that long ago this was up to about 98. Now trending downwards, very likely because of the interaction with that landfall and that drier air making its way in. But still 84 miles per hour is a good gust. With the sustained winds going to be right around that, if slightly below, can cause all kinds of problems. Plus, we're already going to be getting that storm surge down there at the bottom on the coastline, and that is going to cause more problems as well. But I've said a few times, the saving grace with the storm is going to be the speed with which it moves through. So we're already seeing modeled down to about 76, so right at hurricane force, Category 1, by 8:45, and then after that it's all downhill, and by the time we start heading just barely after midnight, we're already down to tropical storm force, and the back end of that storm, as we said, looking a lot more ragged than the front. You can barely make out anything there. So this is still developing, but starting to move inland. Things are going to get worse for South Mississippi over the next few hours, so stay tuned to WXXV for updates.